Hi, year eight. I hope you're all well. And welcome to what is the Raising Aspirations week. And part of that is really just to take a bit of time out to reflect a little bit on where we are, your current position in terms of your education path through Garibaldi. Now, we're coming towards the end of year eight. I can't believe how quick it's come around, to be fair. But what we've now got to really start to think about is what is it that we should be doing now? What is it that we should be possibly thinking about as we move into year nine? Now, year nine is going to be a really important year for yourselves with some really important decisions to be made. And this week really is designed to get you to think a little bit about the kind of careers a bit further ahead that you might be interested in, and the kind of things that might then lead you to make a decision towards your options as we look into year nine. And it's never too early to really start to think about that. So, this assembly really is designed to get you to kind of think about and almost an introduction to what this week will be about, and potentially lead on to further conversations later this year, in addition to next. Now, as we kind of look through this, it really is starting to prepare yourselves for year nine and the option choices that you're likely to make. Now, that option process, you might be familiar with it, you might have older brothers and sisters or other family members that have been through it. But essentially, it's a time where you get to choose what subjects you would like to take further and potentially move into a career that uses those subjects. So, this is where it's about asking those questions. And like it says here, once you've asked a few questions, that you take that time to really think about that and ask a few more to really do your research. Okay, you have access to the best career information whilst you're in school. Okay, some that you will probably very rarely, if ever, have that opportunity again. And it is really, really important that you ask those questions, that you do your research, and that you really start to figure out what is available to you, not just in terms of options, but what is available to you post option choices as well. Now, as an achievement lead, as all members of staff in this school, we want the very best for you. We want you to come out with the very best outcomes. But to do that, you've also got to play a part in that one, okay? And where it says here about ATL, no C3s, okay, and consequences, and making sure that your attendance is fantastic. But in addition to all of that, it's about making sure that you are in the right choices when it comes to those options. And so it's really a case of now thinking about, whilst you're in those lessons, whilst you've got that broad kind of spectrum of lessons taking place currently, that you really think about what is it that I like about this subject potentially, and where could this subject take me? And in doing that, I will no doubt be confident in saying that you'll get some amazing outcomes. Now, as you can see here with a very short timeline, I suppose, that this is a 7-year journey of education, because remembering that you are actually staying in education or some form of training until you're 18. So that 7 years is that journey from the time that you arrived at the Garibaldi School. So this is about preparing you now for your future, as it says at the bottom there. Now, we've done that transition process into secondary school, and I know that's been fragmented over these last couple of years, but we're now at this point where we're towards the end of that year eight stage, which is about striving for achievement and preparing yourself for the very best, right? Putting yourself in the very best position for the option choices that you're likely to make going into next year. And there we have it, that's that year nine already. Now, very soon, those option choices will come around, and you'll be required to make those decisions that will then lead you into year 10 and year 11 and that key stage 4 and your GCSE years, a 2-year period where you get to demonstrate your knowledge, skills and understanding in those subjects that you have chosen. Now, there will be some subjects that are actually compulsory, and you will probably guess what they are in terms of the English, the maths, the science, potentially a language for some of you, okay, and the humanities. But what it's about demonstrating your ability. Post GCSE, there are going to be a number of options that are then later available to you, whether they be sixth form at the Garibaldi School for another further 2 years of your education till you're 18, or whether it be that you decide to move to West Notts or even a apprenticeship. But those things we'll talk about and discuss as we move through into your GCSE years. But for now, we've got to concentrate on that next year, that next goalpost in making those decisions. Now, you could ask yourself, okay, well, who is it that I could probably talk to? Who is it I can have those conversations to about different things, maybe different subjects? Well, yes, you've got your class teachers that will be able to talk about the actual individual subjects and potentially even more so about careers. But there's also your mentor. There's myself. There's Miss Bleasdale and Miss Smedley, who are very, very clued up in terms of that personal development and Unifrog and the career pathways. So please make use of the staff members that are around to advance your knowledge and understanding of those different topics. It might be that you'll see some posters a bit similar to this one that are on the class doors, and that gives you a bit of an idea of the journey of those staff members and what path they've taken. And that might be something that you may be interested in, and potentially that you could ask them questions about that. So, in terms of those points of reflection and making sure that the choice that you make is the right choice, you might want to consider things like, well, what is it you like to study? What do you like? What do you enjoy? What are your interests? Okay. Are you going to get any emotional satisfaction? In other words, are you going to be satisfied from studying that lesson? Are you going to be looking forward to going there? Okay. And what satisfaction are you going to get from it? Is it going to spark an interest and a bit of inspiration, perhaps? It might be that it leads from a personal hobby or interest and you just want to look into it a little bit further. Above all, it's about making sure that you take pride not in just what you do and in the subjects that you take, but in the path it could potentially lead you as well. Now, there are some useful links here, and I'm going to leave this on for a moment, and I'm quite sure that your mentor could possibly pause this, maybe even get you to write some of them down if you don't know them already. But they're very useful in being able to identify some potential career paths, some potential careers that you might want to research, find a little bit more about, and potentially what kind of subjects you might need to choose to follow that career. There are other prospectuses, okay? There's things about the National Career Service that, again, is going to provide you with an abundance of information to help support your knowledge and your growth through this education path into a career. Now, at this point is where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave that on, but hopefully we'll have these conversations. And as we move into year 9, we'll certainly be looking at the option choices that you're making, and we'll be talking about that with you and potentially talking about that with your parents as well. But until then, enjoy the rest of the year, and I'll see you around.